And about face on, of all things, swastikas and nooses. The Washington Post reporting Thursday that the Coast Guard would no longer classify swastikas and nooses as hate symbols. Then came that about face. Scripps News national correspondent Alex Miller has been following the quick changing developments on this story. And Alex, what exactly happened here?
Yeah, Del, it's been a whirlwind of 24 hours with this story, because we learned yesterday through the Washington Post that there was new language put out by the Coast Guard that would no longer classify swastikas or nooses as hate symbols. Of course, we know swastika is a symbol of fascism, something that you can attribute to the murder of Jews, as well as the fact that we fought against the Nazis in World War II. And of course, noose is a symbol of lynching Black Americans. And so, of course, this was something that the Washington Post brought to the forefront. I want to show you the two different documents that they put forward in their reporting. First, look at the language in 2023 that we saw. First of them, that one says that those symbols would constitute a potential hate incident. It includes a noose, a swastika, supremacist symbols, Confederate symbols or flags, which, by the way, are still banned, and anti-Semitic symbols. Then, when you look at the language put forward yesterday in November 2025, they were listed as potentially divisive symbols that include or but are not limited to the noose, swastika, and the like. So you can see that the language changed just so slightly, but there was a lot of concern there because they were not deemed necessarily to be a hate crime, hate incident if somebody were to display that imagery.
So, Alex, how is the Coast Guard responding to all of this?
Well, they first denied this happened. They denied that this existed as an incident on the whole. Now, somebody in Congress kind of calls that into question. Congressman Lauren Underwood posted that she spoke to the admiral herself about this issue and said that it was going to be handled. And lo and behold, we saw a new document come out overnight talking about this specifically. There are two major clauses in there. Now, the Coast Guard says that this is not new policy, that they are just kind of doubling down on their policy. They say that the Coast Guard does not tolerate the display of divisive or hate symbols and flags, including those identified with oppression and hatred. In another part of this document, they list those symbols specifically, like a noose and a swastika, and anything co-opted by hate-based groups as representations of supremacy, racial or religious intolerance, anti-Semitism, and any other improper bias. But of course, this is part of a larger conversation that we have seen over the course of the last year or so since President Trump came back into office. The admiral that is in place right now, he started after Trump was inaugurated. The person who was in that office before, she was let go on day one, according to Fox News, in part because of her work on DEI initiatives. And so though the Coast Guard fires back on this, they are actually part of DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, not the Department of Defense, as we see other branches of the military. But there has been a resounding pushback from both of these departments that this is not policy, but we have seen, a larger crackdown on DEI in the last year.
Amazing. I'm looking at the documents right now. Somewhere between 15 and 38 million people died in World War II, going up against the Nazis. Their symbol, of course, being the swastika. Scripps News national correspondent Alex Miller live for us in New York City today. Alex, as always, we thank you.